but he is not actually. Kyle was just warming up. There we go. Now can everybody
All right.
else?
We're
Let's
back.
start that over again.
Thank you guys very much for joining us at the Can-Am 12-hour race here at Texplex 2021. Man, we have some serious battles going on. We have some change-ups with the lead, the Hunter Miller car and the Cody Miller car. I think Kyle Chaney was driving, and who else was driving the other car?
So Kyle Chaney is not driving.
Oh,
he
he's
was
not?
sitting
Okay.
in the seat, keeping it warm this morning
Oh,
for
okay.
Hunter
Perfect.
to get into it. So Hunter is actually in that car.
Yeah.
Let's see. So Cody Miller is in the car. Cody Taylor is waiting to get into it. They're going to be doing a switch pretty soon. CJ Greaves is in the Tyler Remery car.
Okay, perfect.
They're going
Yeah.
to be switching around the 3-hour mark.
And so they just got in a serious battle off air, and the Can-Ams took the lead. So
They did.
both those cars ended up passing the RS1 of CJ Greaves. Not that that makes any difference in a 12-hour race, but it's pretty exciting to see. Actually, in front of the broadcast booth here, those dudes are treating it like a complete short course race, like battle royale.
They are for now. So I'm interested to see how long this is going to last. I think they're battling it out to see how far they can get out in front of each other. But I'm wondering how long it's going to take for one of them to break, to be honest, the way they're battling. Because you saw them. They were rubbing a couple laps ago right here in front of us, and then they did it again right here. And so they're not going to be able to last doing it like that, battling it out. They're gonna take one another out if they keep doing that.
Yeah, my point exactly. And so we had a few comments coming in. Joe Miller actually commented in saying that he thinks Cody or Hunter is going to actually take the win for the race. So we actually asked Courtney earlier who she thought was going to win the race, and we want to see what you guys think as well. So if you guys want to hit us up in the comments on Facebook or YouTube, you guys can throw your picks for the race winners there, and give us your comments on what you think maybe some race strategy would be if you guys are out here racing too. It's been a good battle so far. We had tons of change-ups, even in the 3-hour race as well. It looks like we have, in first place, Alan Butler, Walterboro, South Carolina. He's actually cutting some pretty good laps here. He's probably only about 3 minutes a lap slower than the guys in the 12-hour pro race. So he's doing good, man. Good job to Alan Butler and his crew. Second place, we got the number 7J of Plymouth Edwards, JBC. Let's see here. Third place, number 24, Davy Boy Racing. Fourth place, oh, your guys, the graphic guys. I've been seeing a lot of their cars out there. Number 187. Fifth place, Fontanez, Angel Fontanez. Sixth place, another graphics guy's car, number 211. I don't know actually all their names, but it looks like Gary, Terry, Corey maybe. And seventh place, number 157, ABR Racing. Number 8th place, we got number 55 of Christian Barrios, which I don't think actually started the race. So
actually, Alan Butler, he was having a little bit of an issue with his car when we were in the pits, and so hopefully he's back out there and doing well since he is in the lead. So I'm not quite sure what was going on with his car, but I know that they were doing a little bit of work on the rear end on that vehicle. So interested to see what's going on with that. There was actually, I heard that there's a lot of cars parked out there already. So
that's crazy, right?
Lots of stuff with wheels and axles that I'm hearing that are happening out there, and cars just being completely parked out in the field already. So maybe we can get some drone footage shortly and see what's going on out there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. That's kind of what I was talking about earlier about the whole race strategy and people going full tilt right off the bat. I mean, it's 12 hours. We're only 2 hours and, 10 minutes into the race right now. You guys can see the live timer that we have up there at the top of the screen. And so you know how long your driver has left to participate. The guys in the 3-hour race obviously are going to be coming up on their finish in about just under an hour here. And the 6-hour guys still have a lot of pace left. Did you see anything when you were over there about guys coming into the pits, fixing stuff, fuel strategies, anything like that?
Yeah, so there's people who, everybody's getting fueled. So people are saying that they're using a lot more fuel than they expected to, that cars are running hotter than they expected them to, but that also means that they're driving harder than they expected to.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe that's why I think that people are going to be braking earlier than they're expecting to, because people are running harder than they should be maybe at this point, because they're racing.
Yeah.
So they're racing more short course style than endurance style right now, because they're trying to get out ahead of each other. And I think that that's going to hurt them in the long run, because, like I said, they're racing short course style right now.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And this is good, like, kind of goes back to what we talked about a little bit earlier and what we did yesterday. So when we were looking at the course, we were talking about some segments that they have. There was some really wide open areas and stuff. And when I mean wide open, I don't mean just like flat out with your throttle. I mean like wide portions of the track. And a lot of these guys are going around sliding the cars, using a lot of the berms, and they're really using up their tires. They're using up their belts. They're heating stuff up instead of just taking their time and maybe tiptoeing around the corners and approaching it a little slower, but executing in the same time manner.
Absolutely. So I've seen flat tires. I've seen broken axle. I've seen a broken shock. I think that's all that I've seen so far. But I know for sure, I've heard about 6 vehicles for sure that are parked on track. So I don't know if they're getting pulled in or if they're bringing drivers out. So let's talk about that. So if your vehicle breaks when you're in the field, you have a couple different options. So you can either be towed in by a safety vehicle, by a track worker.
Right.
You can leave your vehicle there and be completely done. You can get a ride back from a safety worker and then have a different person brought out to fix your vehicle. You can only have 2 people working on your vehicle at a time in the field. So the driver and 1 additional person can be working out there, no more other people. So if you can get to your vehicle without crossing the track, you can have as many people working on it as you want. So if it's like on the pit side of the track, you can bring your whole crew out and work on it.
Yeah, so hopefully if you break down, you get lucky and you're really close.
Right, exactly. So chances are that's not happening. In all reality, looking at the track.
Yeah, but it's nice that they do have that option to be able to do that. So, and some of the cars that we've already seen have issues, they've already gotten it fixed and they're already going again. So it's nice to see that they have the opportunity to go out there and still complete the whole 12 hours if they have the chance to do it.
Exactly. And keep in mind, so anybody who's just coming in with us, so you have to go through the pits every single lap. That's a little bit different than last year. A mandatory 15 miles an hour. There's radar guns going through there, so you have to abide by those speeds, or you're getting penalties at the end of the race. They'll impede penalties on you.
I wonder how many people already got penalties since we saw
I don't
people
know. I saw
zooming through the
people
pits.
that were speeding a little bit much through the pits. So I'm interested to see when those go into effect.
Yeah,
we saw it even on the live feed. You could see people. Somebody made a pass in the pit.
Hey, good job, Zach, on the scrolling thing on the bottom with all the race results and stuff. So this is what the current race results were for at least for the last lap. It might change it just a little bit here, and we'll have to go through and update you guys, but we'll update you as well. It's so interesting to me, like, and I don't want to talk about this too much, but there's cameras everywhere. So these guys that think they're being sneaky, they're not. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to get in trouble at some point. So just run the race on the track as fast as you can.
Right. And so last year they DQ'd people for cutting the course. So it was said if there's a bottleneck because of someone braking on the course, that's the only time you're allowed to go off course. Otherwise, you must have 2 tires on the course at all times.
Yep.
Even when passing. So that puts kind of a kink in people's game, I think. So because a lot of people come from woods racing where you go and you make your own lines around people.
Yep.
If somebody's in the way, you bump them.
Yep.
And if they don't get out of your way, you kind of make your line around them. Where that's not the case here. You have to keep 2 tires on the track at all times. So I would be willing to bet that's not going to happen for the whole race. Somebody's going to get anxious and go out of their way. So hopefully the cameras do or don't catch them, depending on who you are.
Yeah, exactly. If you're the race leader and you want to make not get past. But again, we talked a little bit about some of the stuff with the track previews that we did yesterday. Maybe we could get some of that stuff for the track previews that we had lined up yesterday. And kind of just check it out, because you talked about some of the stuff where it was real tight in the woods, where there was split lanes. some of the terrain conditions and different things like that. So maybe we could get one of those on screen here in a little bit.
And even the split lanes to show, it's so hard to tell the perspective when you're looking at how wide some of those different areas are. And so there's one with, like, we measured with a branch, my height versus the branch, and then showing the width between the trees. And some of those cars, we're talking about some of those wider cars were, what, 85 inches?
72, I think, is probably going to be most of the wider cars.
What was the new Polaris?
That's a good question. I don't know. But it's what? Oh, yeah, so 76. So that's still really wide. Yeah. Not 8 feet, but it's still going to be close.
Yeah,
so
it's tight.
I actually got the opportunity to drive in one of those wider cars when we were out there yesterday after the poker run, and it was really close. There was probably only 4 inches on each side going through some of those really tight sections on those bigger cars. So depending on what your setup is, it's going to be interesting to see. What was I going to?
That's crazy, going race speed. Can you imagine going race speed through some of those? You have to take the opposite. You have to go around the trees for that.
So we were talking about some of this stuff, and we're going to bring our buddy Dustin Battle Axe Jones up here in a little bit so he can talk.
Yeah, he showed up so that I can go do my job out in the pits.
Hey,
he came to come and do his job right here.
Perfect. He's actually standing in front of us, so he can't battle back since he's not on the microphone.
Yeah, so I am supposed to be hanging out in the pits checking in with the drivers and stuff, and he's going to come and sit here.
We'll talk to him a little bit about that driver connection that you have with the UTVs, though. When we're talking about going through a lot of those skinny sections or being able to choose those different alternate routes, when you have a good skill set behind you, like Dustin Battle Axe Jones, the winner of the Mint 400, you can almost be one with your car, and you can see like spots, like even if you only have 4 inches on the left or the right, you can still cut through there at race pace and not have any issues. So it'll be interesting to get his take on how to do that stuff and make it happen. We have a lot of guys that are newbies out here that are going to, like you said, take the alternate routes, but it's cool to see the different variations, right?
It just got really cold.
It got really cold, and it looks like there's a breeze because there's a lot of dust coming out too. So that's going to play a little bit of a factor in there. And we're kind of set up near the short course portion of the track, and it's a lot dustier down in the back sections of the track because there's hardly any water that gets down there. So it would be interesting to see how much you can actually see on that portion of the track as well. We saw some of the stuff yesterday too, where there was some really fast sections on the end of the track, like probably mile marker 7.5, 8-ish, I think it was, that drivers are going to reach 70, 80 miles an hour, depending on the speed of their car.
Yeah, I didn't want to go that fast because we didn't have a roll cage, and you seemed like you were a little nervous.
I was holding cameras, and you were still sending it. You were taking the split lane just to go send it. And
yeah. And we weren't in a race car. I would have gone faster if we were in a race car.
We were in the AKA Buttermobile, and Courtney asked me if she would like me to turn around so she could send it again, which was very interesting to me, knowing that I was holding cameras and trying to. At one point, we actually were holding a turtle, and we had to rescue a turtle. So that was a pretty interesting portion of the
you
track
can't
preview.
Grow up like I did and do what I do and not like to drive fast. So just know that when you get in the car.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was a fun track preview, and we got a lot of information there. So thanks for taking me around and doing that stuff.
It was fun. We had a good day. It was fun.
And it makes it for a good understanding of what stuff comes out here. You know, you have a really good understanding of this track, this facility, all the drivers, and you were telling me a lot of stuff about the behind the scenes of what guys do, as well as how the track shapes up. So thank you for doing that.
Absolutely. Hopefully we're going to be able to, the guys are working behind the scenes here to get some of those clips up and going. So let's take a look at some of these drivers again. What's going on here? So looking back at the 12 hours, so we have, so it looks like Hunter Miller still in the number 1 spot, followed by Cody. Cody's not been able to get around him yet. CJ Greaves in the number 3 spot, followed by Corey Willis in that PPEI car.
Without interrupting you too much, do you think that when they get out front that they can set the pace together and then just kind of drive their own race together and then maybe save the cars until the end and then go battle?
So I think that Cody is not going to let Hunter just sit there.
They're just going to go
that
wide.
Cody is going to continuously keep trying to find a way to pass Hunter. There's no way that Cody's going to sit behind his brother and let him stay there.
Yeah, it's a strategy that that I might not take, but they will. That's cool.
Yeah, no, I think that he'll continue to go out there. And so I just had a talk with Kyle when I was over in the pits, and I told Kyle, Kyle and Hunter are the most sarcastic team out there when you speak to them. And I can say that because I'm friends with both of them.
Yeah, you never know when they're being serious or not.
Oh, no, neither of them are ever being serious. It's kind of like speaking with Dustin when you get him on camera. It's never really a serious conversation. But no, Hunter, we have an interview with Hunter. Everybody will get to see that later.
Okay, perfect.
It's a good one. It's a fun one. No, Cody's going to continuously try and pass Hunter. So then after that, we have that All Things UTV, which is Dustin Robbins. He's actually he's a rock racer. So
really?
Yeah, he comes from the Ultra 4 side of things, and I think he does pro rock maybe.
So that means he has a lot of experience in understanding how to make a car last.
Yes, he's definitely more of an endurance racer. I think he's done a little bit of the short course stuff, but he's definitely more of an endurance racer. Then we have the Patrick Edwards car. And then we have Sean Hess in a Honda in the 7th spot. So...
Oh, one thing that we should note, too, is that a lot of these guys, whether in the pro class, the 3-hour race, the 6-hour race, sportsman, they can run normally aspirated or turbo in the same class.
Arrows that are placed.
So it will be, it's pretty cool to see, honestly, because some people, when I was talking to them yesterday, they were like, yeah, normally aspirated, we have an advantage, because in the tight sections, we don't have to wait for the turbo to spool up.
Oh, look, they have us playing.
Yeah, so... It looks like we'll get some audio and everything going with some of these track previews.
Can people see that?
Following the course.
Okay.
Those are the directions. So they'll see the course on Friday when they come on the poker run. But those arrows are how they'll follow the course during the actual race. You'll see they're all along the track. And then Maxis and Can-Am banner are tape off some of the more dangerous sections. There are some danger signs on different parts of the track as well. You'll see that there are different parts. There are ditches, there are narrow alleys these sections can actually make or break the racer's entire day. Last year, I know some of our leaders, the whole course, but specifically some of our leaders went into some of these ditches and nearly took them out. You'll see a lot of the racers coming through the pits at different times that they'll need to be fixed and have some different parts changed on their cars because of coming through these tight sections around the corners, going straight into the ditches, and not realizing how low they'll go, messing up parts of their front ends and potentially breaking axles and different things like that. So definitely going to see some action coming out of these types of areas on the track that we'll watch for them in the pits, and we'll check in with them when they get there. We had seen it, the wide open through the woods, we had seen the tight corners and turns, the trees, and then all of a sudden we come onto this big wide open road where we're sure drivers are going to hit up speeds of 70, 80 miles an hour, potentially even more than that, and then we come through this big sweeper, and you're gonna have to watch out for this because we fall into this pile of rocks here that is ridden into the ground and that we're not able to get out of here. So that's something that could potentially be an issue for someone and their tires. So we're gonna have to watch out for things like that as well. So it's always so hard to watch live stream and get an actual perspective of what the track is. Whether it be short course and how fast the vehicles are going, the woods and how tight the corners are, the rocks and how big they are. And so we found this stick. So picture this, I am about 5.5, 5'6". So that would put this stick, I would say about maybe almost 7 feet tall. So this section right here, just to show you about, so I'm standing between, this is a split lane. So we're looking at maybe just a little bit over 8 feet wide that you're having for this part of the split lane. This is coming out of a tight corner, going straight into the split lane, and then people have the option to go either direction, and then it goes back into the winding woods. And so the thing about this is also, this is going to be a high speed area as well. This is a chance for people to pass. So there's definitely going to be some door banging action going on in these split lanes through the areas. There's some amazing whoops. It is going to be an action packed race, and it's honestly going to be beginning to end. So doing our track preview today, we have come across a couple sections now that are built up over some type of a little creek or a water crossing, and this one is definitely a little mushy, quite mushy I should say. So we're interested to see how it's going to hold up over the entire 12 hours. It's supposed to be pretty cold on race day, and so hopefully that will help firm up the dirt a little bit. This is more like a mud. It's not so much a hard concrete type dirt like it is up more towards the short course. This one is definitely a sink wet type of dirt. And so let's see, let's see if we can bring some up. It's more of a type of like a muddy clay that you can see that you can stick together and mold. And so this will be something that will be interested to see after we have so many cars going through, and if it's going to wash out or hold up. So I guess we're going to see through the day. 12 hours is a long time for this to hold up. You can see there's not a lot of barrier between the top and the water. So these arrows that are placed all over the course are actually how racers are following the course. Those are the directions. So they'll see the course on Friday when they come on the poker run, but those arrows are how they'll follow the course during the actual race. You'll see they're all along the track, and then Maxis and Can-Am banner are tape off some of the more dangerous sections. There are some danger signs on different parts of the track as well. You'll see that there are different parts, there are ditches, there are narrow alleys these sections can actually make or break the racer's entire day. Last year, I know some of our leaders, the whole course, but specifically some of our leaders went into some of these ditches and nearly took them out. You'll see a lot of the racers coming through the pits at different times that they'll need to be fixed and have some different parts changed on their cars because of coming through these tight sections around the corners, going straight into the ditches, and not realizing how low they'll go, messing up parts of their front ends and potentially breaking axles and different things like that. So definitely going to see some action coming out of these types of areas on the track that we'll watch for them in the pits, and we'll check in with them when they get there.
Okay, we are back. Courtney Pros, George Hamill. So there's so much action going back and forth on the track. It's crazy. Every single time we go off and then come back, everything mixes up.
Yeah, everything changes. Like, it's nuts. We still have the same leaderboard. We got the 2 Miller cars out front, and then we have CJ Greaves in third. But everybody's dicing.
I was going to say, so we just saw Miller's coming by here, and I cannot believe how much people are fighting for their spots out there. Tires.
It's not even 3 hours in yet.
I know. So even as they're coming by, just right here on the short course, the way people are fighting for their spots, cutting the corners so tight and stuff. Let's talk about the tires. How do you see the tires? You guys were talking about the tires in the background. How do you feel about the cars and the longevity? What were you guys saying about the tires?
Well, so a lot of guys in the pro class are running smaller tires, like up to 28 inches, like not big tires like you would in a desert race or something. But they're just like a standard UTV tire, right? Like anything you could buy from EFX or Maxxis or anybody like that. And those tires, I don't want to say like they can get used up quickly in a race format like this. And the terrain and the dirt really, really chews on them. It's like driving in some of these sections, it's like driving on asphalt. If anybody has done any enthusiast driving and had to drive on asphalt, it really rips the tires up. You can see it when you come back, to your house, park your car in your garage, and that's similar to what they're doing here. In my opinion, that's going to take a lot of performance away during the race.
Absolutely. So that's one thing that I will definitely check out when we go out there back into the pits is we'll start taking a look at the driver's tires so that we can report back about the tires. So let's see. Everybody out on the live feed, let us know. I'm going to be heading out. Yes, you are going to be getting drone footage soon. They're right in front of us, getting the drones up and running. We can see them getting ready to fly. There you go. See, you ask and we deliver. We don't. They're out there doing it. I can't do that. Can you do that?
No, but we got a fantastic production crew with us.
Absolutely. Put in the comments, I'm going to be heading back out into the pits. So if there is anything you want to know from the teams, from the drivers, put it in the comments so that I know what you would like me to ask the drivers. If there's questions that you want to know about their strategy, about things that are going on out in the woods, anything really that you want me to ask the drivers, put it in the comments so that I can make a list and go out into the pits and ask them questions. What else do we have?
I think we should ask them what their favorite sandwiches are.
Do you want me to ask them that? Anybody specific? Are you fanboying anybody?
No. I think everybody should tell us what their favorite sandwich is because I'm hungry and I want to know what I should eat for lunch. But yeah.
Okay, that's going to be on my list of questions And George wants to know, what's your favorite sandwich?
I think it'll break it up a little bit. A lot of these guys have some real intense battling going on, especially in the top of the classes, right? Like, we have all kinds of racing going on. We only have 30 minutes left of the 3-hour race, so that's going to be our first checkered flag for everybody. So there's a lot of intensity on the completion of those races, and all of the guys that are battling up front or even just trying to make sure that they manage their race, anytime you can break up that intensity, it really helps the team demeanor.
You know what I'm going to ask them? What do you keep your house thermostat set on?
Because we need it like 90 right now to thaw out.
I'm so cold. Okay, so you know who, I think do we have a third headset? No, no.
I'm happy to bail out and give the headset. You want to talk to the boys?
Let's call Dustin in over here for a second. Let's chat with Dustin for a quick minute, and then I'm going to head into the pits. Hey, Dustin,
while we get Dustin in and set up with the audio, let's go to a quick interview with CJ Greaves.
Perfect.
So here we are with Tyler Rumreed, who is paired up with CJ Greaves, who is going through the pits right now. Currently the leader in the 12-hour class. They started as number 7, pulled off the line. So what is the strategy? We talked with you. We're going to see some clips later on, but so you are paired up with side-by-side pro 4 driver CJ Greaves. You said yesterday, you talked with us, that you've been in the side-by-side for about 6 months now.
Yep.
So a fun and unlikely pairing. What is your strategy? When do you plan on getting in the car?
So we were going to try to run the car just for the first couple of laps, see what the car was going to do. I think we're going to switch at the 3-hour mark. Just keep drivers fresh, keep things rolling. When I get in that car, I just want to keep everything smooth, don't do anything to mess this up, and then just do my thing, have fun.
Okay, so how's the car running? Have you had communication with CJ so far?
Yeah, car's running great. We're actually which is good. We're burning more fuel than expected. It means he's running hot and good. Everything's running on all cylinders. You know, we obviously triple checked everything, but it should go good.
Okay, well, good luck to you. We'll check back in with you later.
Thank you.
Well, excited to see you get in the car.
Yeah, thank you.
Here we are with Kyle Cheney, partnered up with Hunter Miller. You guys are currently holding around third place. What was your strategy going into this?
Morning. So I know you texted me last night like, hey, are you going to make it? Because I know you told me you were going to be here to announce, but it's been a crazy couple of days for me.
Where were you?
Actually, you know what? It's been a crazy couple of weeks for us. So just about a week ago, we won the Mint 400. Was it a week yesterday, I think? We won the Mint 400 out in Vegas. And so just to celebrate a little, we jumped up, Thursday morning, flew to Orlando, Florida. Spent the day there, spent the night there, got up yesterday morning, drove 15 hours home, grabbed some clothes, drove out here, got here like 1:30 a.m. last night, just so I could be here with you. Like that was the highlight of my weekend, was to meet you here and do some announcing. So
I was waiting for that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the main reason I made that long drive, that sacrifice, was to get out here and get with you.
Perfect.
But
I forgive you now for being late.
So,
Maybe.
Courtney, I'm just coasting in right now, and so I'm kind of coming on the backside of how far are they into this 12-hour race?
So we are almost 3 hours into it. So we're getting ready to end the 3-hour race shortly. And so we're seeing a lot of carnage on the track. A lot of cars are parked already. So you have a lot of stuff to pick up on. People are not really treating it like a 12-hour race so far, which I'm surprised at.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these people are returning from last year. We have about 60 teams that came back from last year. We're at about 80 teams here.
Gosh, so it's doing quite a bit better even than last year, huh?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
This race has really shown to do good. But let's go back and set this up for a lot of people that don't know, because they call this the 12-hour race. Because ultimately the longest race of the day and the biggest thing is that there is a 12-hour race that will end at 7 p.m. tonight, correct?
Correct. So it's actually going to end a little bit after 7 because we started a little bit later. So I think it started about 7:30, so it'll go till about 7:30 tonight.
Okay, but outside of this being the 12-hour race, which is what everybody calls this one, is there's also a 3-hour race going on and a 6-hour race, correct?
Correct. So, yep, we've talked about that a couple times. You weren't here yet.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there's a lot of people tuning in now that I'm here, so they're going to want to hear.
So there's a 3-hour race, a 6-hour race, and the 12, and then there's classes within those. So there's a women's class, and then there are sportsman classes and pro classes. So there's several different races within the 12-hour day.
So my first thought, and what Quentin and I discussed last year, is could you come out here and sign up for all 3 races, say like the 3-hour, the 6-hour, and 12, and try to sweep all 3 races, or the one that you pick is the one you have to stop at?
So that's a great question. You can.
You can.
You can.
Which is exactly what I would do. I would pay my entry fees and sign up for all of them and try to win all 3 races.
I would too.
But the other reason I would do that, honestly, is because I figure the way that I drive, I probably wouldn't make it to 12 hours. So at least I would get close to winning something. You know what I mean? At least I could make it to a 3-hour race, I would think.
It's good that you can admit that.
Oh, yeah. I think everybody has learned that I'm pretty well checkers or wreckers, you know?
Yeah, we do know that.
And honestly, watching some of these guys, and I know some of these guys that were, and girls, that are coming through right here in front of us on the short course race, I can tell they're also racing that checkers or wreckers mentality, right?
Correct. So let's address a little bit of this. Can you show more of the racing and less interviews? So Jay rides. Let's talk about this. So because we have this killer footage, that 90% of our footage is by drone. You can't keep a drone up in the air for 12 straight hours. So you can only fly a drone for so long. The best drones with the best batteries can't stay in the air for that long at one time. So you have to go up and come down and go up and come down. And we have, I don't know how many exactly, but we have tons of drones. I'm just going to say tons because I don't know how many.
Yeah,
but we have a
tons.
lot of different, we have a lot. I'm just using that word.
No, that
we
makes
have a lot
sense.
of drones. And so they're just swapping in and out, back and forth, but they have to come down and they have to be able to swap out. And so, see, everybody's like coming up being like, "Oh,
Dustin's
you showed
here."
up."
I think they're not just happy to see me; they're surprised that I made it to the race. Let's be honest.
Oh, you came.
But your drone stuff, like that's probably one of my favorite points of view during races. And Tex-Mex and the Texas Outlaw Series has done an amazing job of taking you inside the race. So I don't know if everybody can see right now, but they're cruising through the pits right now. You see the campers set up. That's kind of pit row. But this look at the race, the drone look, really makes it a good experience for people that are tuning in live and get to watch.
Exactly. And because the course is over 16 miles long, so obviously that can't be covered. We're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So Wi-Fi needs to happen to get signal to do regular live stream. So that can't happen across the whole course in the middle of the country. So drones are the only way to cover the whole course that we're able to get. And so that's another reason why it has to be by drones. It can't be by regular live feed. So J Rides, we have to do it the way we're doing.
Yeah, which to me is a great, really viewer-friendly way to watch this race because it is a 16-mile course. So naturally, there's only limited cameramen that we can put at different spots of the course. So a good way to get a whole lot of perspective of the race is with these drones. And so I'm assuming everybody can see what I'm seeing right now on screen. And so you see these guys blazing around the corners. You see a guy out in the distance. They're picking up everybody out on the track that they can from that perspective, but that drone offers such a much better look. So you see two guys battling right now coming in, and that becomes a dangerous thing on a race this long, is to see two guys really getting each other's dust, battling bumper to bumper. But as a racer, like, you can't help yourself.
Exactly. You're right. And just want to point out that this feed is all thanks to Can-Am also. So we're all wearing, you can't see it because my hair is covering it and I'm shivering. So, but you have Can-Am on and we're throwing Can-Am up on the screen. So thanks to Can-Am for making this live feed possible. So
You'll probably be able to see my Can-Am logo because my weave ain't covering. You can see my logo. It's cool. It's cool.
Like this for the rest of the
No, but your weave.
Oh, we're not even on the screen.
Your
They
weave-
can't even see it.
Your weave looks good. Now, what do we got going on here? If I look out on the track, there's a four-wheeler coming around on the track right now. Can you tell me what's going on here?
I can't.
What is this dude
I
doing on the
can't.
track?
I don't know.
Oh, I think he's just a sweeper checking. That's what it is. That's the sweeper. I was about to say, Brian, how did you not tell me there was quad racing too? So
I would do that.
that would be a great
I
job
would
for you.
Absolutely. No, not to be a sweeper, but to
Oh.
jump on the quad. I would race on that.
I was going to say that'd be an acceptable job. So just to give you guys an idea of what's going on, a quad just came through the short course, and basically Brian has brought in a sweeper, probably a pro quad racer, very a lot more nimble to get through the woods a lot quicker, get through the track a lot quicker, to check on guys during this race. If somebody's broke, if somebody's flipped, he'll be the first guy to identify there's something going on the track. We either need a yellow flag, we need some assistance out here, and so for me, that gives you a little bit of affirmation that Brian and the guys out here really have a good program going that looks out for the racers, that has their best interest in mind in case somebody goes down, in case somebody has a problem. They're the first ones on the scene to help, you know?
And because we know there are so many cars out there already that are alongside the track, just checking.
There he is, going back to that. Literally on my drive out here this morning when I finally woke up at, I don't even know what hotel, to be honest with you. Some guys called me and they was like, Dustin, where are you at? Are you at the shop? And so I was like, no, why? I'm already in Dallas. They're like, we need you to pick up some parts and bring them out to the track because we've already torn some stuff up. And I said, dude, you are 2 laps into the race. The race just started 20 minutes ago. What is going on? So I know a couple of buddies of ours, so Manny Esquivel and Jubal Cheatwood are racing together. I know on the second lap, they got tangled up on in a car in the dust that was having some trouble and tore up the front end of the car. And so that was lap number 2. One of the fabricators for us at S3 Power Sports is driving second and fourth leg with a guy out here. Well, they broke a front differential on the second lap. And so it is a long day. And you've been around a racing a lot. There's a decision that you have to make when you have a race like a 12-hour race like this one. Do you take the 15 or 20 minutes it takes to fix the car, or do you keep moving?
Right.
What would you do?
Well, I think it depends on what's wrong with the car. Like how and where are you in the race? How far are you in the lead or are you in the back? I think all those factors come into play when you're deciding if you're going to stop and fix something. Is it something that's going to stop you from moving?
Are you asking me if it is?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
what's broken?
okay, so the front
Play it out.
the front differential was the first one that came up. Obviously, we're already out here, so I couldn't bring them one. And I told those guys, look, this track is doable in two-wheel drive. It's not ideal. The cars always pull a lot better in four-wheel drive, but you can run the track. So back your pace down. Keep the car moving. It's 12 hours. There's a lot of people are going to fall out today. There's a high attrition rate. So you can still do well if you have problems early in the race.
Absolutely. So if it's something like a diff, you can do without that. And especially like if you're somewhere near the front of the pack, you don't want to lose your spot over something like that you don't actually have to have in this. There's no area on the track that you need that for.
No, certainly it's a fun, fast, and technical track, but there's no steep hill climbs, there's no mud holes. Like it's a doable track in a two-wheel drive vehicle. So for that one specifically, it's like, you know what? Let's keep pushing. Let's see how things shake out throughout the day, and if we can make it in two, let's get it. You know.
Absolutely. So I've seen some axles. People have had to replace some axles. There was a women's team, All Balls Racing.
That seems like a good name for a women's team.
That's what I thought. That was my first thought too. So they have more of an Ultra 4 style side by side that they're running, and they were doing a rear axle when they were in the pits. Other than that, I haven't really seen many repairs in the pits so far when I was out there, but just heard of a lot of broken cars sitting out there.
And that's honestly no surprise to me going into this race. So basically, Texplex is one of the most notable short courses in the country right now, and it's got some of the fastest guys out here, which means everybody that comes out to Texplex knows how hard you have to drive. Well, I think people going into this 12-hour race have anticipated a really difficult, really long race, and so they've exponentially slowed their pace down to make sure they can make it to that 12-inch mark. So, that 12-hour mark. So I'm imagining.
Dustin.
I'm sorry. I'm imagining that they've really try to take care of the car throughout the day, and that's why there's not so many problems going on in the pits right now. But here comes one of the four-seaters. It looks like a desert car that probably races. The All Balls women team just rolling by right in front of the media trailer. Looks like they're still moving good. They're really hanging it out there. But I did see one of the Miller brothers come through the pits just a minute ago, so I'm imagining we're probably going to see them come through. If we're close to 3-hour mark, do you think they've swapped drivers yet?
I didn't hear you. What?
If we're getting close to the 3-hour mark, how long do you think into it they're going to start swapping driver?
So from what I hear, they're going to start swapping around the 3-hour mark. So I think that speaking with Tyler Rummereed, him and CJ Greaves are planning to switch about the 3-hour mark. I think Kyle Chaney and Hunter Miller are planning around the 3-hour mark. So I think that some of those top competitive teams are looking to switch around there. So who do we have here? Here's a Can-Am coming in.
It looks like we do have one of the Miller brothers coming out on his lap, coming right in front of the media
So that's
trailer.
Hunter Miller, Kyle Chaney team.
That's going to
So
be
that's Hunter in the car.
Yeah, so Hunter Miller and Kyle Chaney are both really fast guys. I believe they both won King of the Hammers. They've both won several races out here at Texplex, and they actually typically they race against each other. Like last year, they raced against each other for the 12-hour race, but this weekend they teamed up. And I talked to Hunter for a little while out at Johnson Valley, and Cheney out at Johnson Valley, and he said they wanted to team up and try to put a beat down on the Cody Miller, Cody Taylor team. Speaking of, not maybe 20 seconds behind Hunter Miller is going to be Cody Miller coming through right now. And it's really funny to me because I know how fast Cody Miller and Hunter Miller are. To see them driving this pace to conserve the car and really take care. So I believe, who was that? That was Cody Miller coming in, right?
That was, and so you just talked about the pace. They have exponentially slowed down this lap compared to what they were driving
Agreed.
earlier.
Agreed.
Even up until this lap now.
Agreed. And I'll be honest with you, because we've raced, the Baja 1000 a few times, Vegas Arena a few times. It's difficult right at the start of the race. You get so excited, you get so worked up, you want to push so hard, and you want to actually get out front first, and it's hard to actually back that down. But as you see, we are 2 hours and 48 minutes into the race. You see everybody kind of settling into their driving style,
Yep. And so that actually took a lot longer this year than it did last year. Because last year, I want to say we were not even 2 hours in, and people were, spread out and settled, going slower. And so this year, we're almost at 3 hours.
I think that's a combination of guys learning how to drive these long races and the reliability of the vehicles. So, like a lot of these UTVs, people referred to them as golf carts for so long, but now they're much more than a golf cart. Wishful thinking, DJ, live from Mexico. The 12-inch mark. Chad Mayo, I'm sorry, buddy. I promise you I was trying to go for the 12-hour, not the 12-inch mark.
Good one, Chad.
So, yeah. So anyways, these guys are kind of getting used to what it takes to conserve a car for so long. I think last year they had no idea, and they would just thought, there's no way these vehicles can last this long because, they've been referred to as golf carts for so long. Well, now they are a really reliable, well-built machine. Even straight out of the box from the manufacturers, they're really strong.
Absolutely. Here's CJ Greaves coming through right now.
We do have it. What's crazy to me is CJ is in an RS1, correct?
Absolutely. Yep. So CJ actually is so well known as a Yamaha driver and really looking to branch out of the short course driving. And so, he said that if it were just short course, they would have stayed with Yamaha. But since they're looking to get into some other disciplines in the side-by-sides, that they have gone a different direction, and they have yet to announce publicly who their manufacturer is going to be. But it's going to be a great thing for the team.
Are you dropping some spoilers on us right now that they're getting away from Yamaha and they're moving another direction?
Well, they've announced that they're no longer with Yamaha. But I am not giving any spoilers about who they're with.
So what we see right now is going to be a tough situation. So Corey Willis, PPI, is coming through. I believe he's fourth in class right now. Fifth in class. Well, he's coming through in some lap traffic already that are kind of piled up. So I could see he was really kind of pushing his car hard to get out of their dust, to get around them corners. That creates a whole new dynamic when you're on a 16-mile course for 12 hours. You're going to start getting into a lot of lap traffic.
And so just want to point out, too, like on the live feed, so we saw Hunter come through, then Cody come through, and then we saw a couple other cars come through before we saw CJ. So just a reminder, because there are so many different classes on course, that just so people see when they see the different cars coming through, that's not necessarily the order that they're coming through, that to know the order of like 1, 2, 3 in each of the classes, that they have to look at the timing and scoring. And so do we have that link up anywhere for people? Okay, so we're going to push that link up so that if you didn't get it earlier, you can follow along on the timing and scoring so that you can actually see. How do you follow along normally with the timing and scoring? Do you just keep refreshing it, or what do you do?
Typically, I don't follow along. I just go out to the races and I sit and watch everybody drive by, and I'm like, oh, that dude looks like he's going fast. He must be in first.
Okay, well, we just pushed it out in the comments, so you can follow along with the timing and scoring to see the orders there.
But Courtney, that is a good point. Like, you're going to see a lot of people on track. You're going to see a lot of passes. That's not necessarily people passing for position, because there's multiple classes on course at the same time.
Right.
And so there's the women's class, the sportsman's class, the pro class. What else is there?
Well, there's a 3-hour, the 6-hour. Those are all mixed in together.
Yeah, and so those guys will be making moves on each other and not necessarily racing against each other, right?
Correct.
Looks like you got a little shiver going. Is it? You feel like it's cold out here this
I'm
morning?
just a little cold. I mean, you wouldn't know because you just got here, but I've been outside since like 5:30.
Why didn't you tell me? I had 2 pair of gloves on the whole time.
I know you wore mine earlier.
I could have.
You took them.
I could have shared my second pair of gloves with you.
I mean, I'll take your socks.
Have at them. I'm warm right now. So you see a lot of people coming through, and some of these guys, because we're sitting in the short course section viewing the race from here. Like, you can hear the motors come by. You can see a lot of these guys are sliding their cars pretty hard in the short course section, even though it's a really chewed up section. And I feel like there's a pretty good danger in doing that throughout this race. Am I right?
I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, that's great. You're a great. I just want to tell everybody Courtney's doing an amazing job as a co-host. I really appreciate her input on these things.
I feel like at this point I'm kind of the host because you just showed up.
Oh, yeah, you are. You are. I just talk more. I will say I did just see the new Polaris R easing through, so this may be one of the very first races. Actually, you know what? I know Guthrie raced one at Mint 400, but that's going to be one of the first time I've seen one of the new Polaris models out here at the race.
So we actually have 2 of them here. One of them actually was broken already on track, so I'm not sure if they are back out running again. And so that's one thing I'm going to check in with. It was Luberg's.
Yeah.
Luberg was out there with one, and I'm not sure. I'm trying to look for them on timing and scoring and see if they're out there again.
But if I'm not mistaken, they're both Bikeman teams, right?
They are.
And remind me, because I think those guys live up there by you. Where is the Bikeman team from?
So they're out of, I want to say they're out of the Minnesota area.
Yeah.
And so there we are. So in the 7th spot, so Jason Luberg and Andy Ives are in the 7th spot in the 12-hour pro.
Which is not, those guys aren't doing bad in that new Polaris R vehicle. And they may be in the 1000 Turbo R or the 4-cylinder. I'm not sure which one they're running. But going back to where the Bikeman team is, they're coming a long ways out here to race. So is CJ, so is a few other racers.
Absolutely. So we have people from all over the country. So if you look into that timing and scoring, you know, we have people. When we were doing the poker chip draw last night, I heard somebody say that they were from Cleveland, Ohio. I was like, oh, I didn't know there were people from right next to me. It turns out the team is from 10 minutes down the road from me. And so there's people from Wisconsin, from Ohio, from South Carolina, North Carolina, Massachusetts, let's see, Illinois. So there's people who run short course up in the Midwest. There's people who race desert out in the West Coast. So we literally have a mix of everybody here.
And I think it's a testament to how popular and big UTV racing is becoming, but also how good of a job Brian and the guys at Texas Outlaw Racing and Texplex have done putting on events like this to draw people from all over the country to come here and race.
Absolutely. This 12-hour race, I mean, I don't really think there's anything quite like this specific race out there. I mean, unless you're going to go out and do a desert race, there's nothing really that combines like the short course with going and cutting out through the woods and then coming back through the short course.
I agree with that. I think if I can encourage anybody to do a long race, a long distance, a long time span race, this is a race that's logistically a little easier to do. So a lot of the races that we do out west, the Mint 400, you know, Vegas to Reno, it's either moving pits, like a chase race where you have to have 3 or 4 pit crews, or stationary multiple pits where you still have to have 3 or 4 pit crews. Where this one, there's 1 pit row, it's 16-mile loops. It's your opportunity to do a huge race and logistically still be able to manage this.
Yes, you don't have to worry about chase racing and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. It looks like we got a couple of guys coming in battling, and now this is when your heart starts racing. You start going to that short course mode. They're throwing it into the berms right now, trying to make passes on each other.
So you had a little bit of a nose dance on that sweeper there, right? You don't like me bringing up all this fun stuff about you?
I don't know why you always got to talk about me. Like, I just want to sit here and announce and watch racing today. You know what I mean?
Make it personal. That's what people like to hear out there. So let's talk about that sweeper right there and all the fun things that can happen on it.
Yeah, there's no doubt this track gets rowdy out here because it is so fast. So you saw those two guys running in that split lane. Well, just at the beginning of this season, we were running in the Pro Turbo class. Threw it into that corner, came in a pile, and you know what happens whenever you're racing hard, whenever you're on the initial start, is you get tangled up. So there's a video out there somewhere on my Instagram of me standing on my nose, Dennis Anderson style, doing a nose wheelie and finally putting it back down on the ground. But it's rough and rowdy racing. To me, that's what makes it fun out here.
Absolutely.
Those are the kind of chances that these guys can't take today, is throwing into the corners, tangling tires with people, right?
Right. And when we were lining up, there were people trying to like get in close and turning the cars a little bit, and I had to like back them up and straighten them up because they were going to get tires tangled right off the start that they were trying to park and pull up and stuff. And so you'd think, being racers, they would position themselves not to have that happen, but I could see people's tires tangling just the way they were lined up.
It's that excitement that keeps you from really doing a lot of logical thinking sometimes.
Is that what it is?
100%. So there's been times I've been lined up pointed towards other cars because that's where the ending turn was. So I'm like, I got to be pointed straight on the start. So I get it. Those guys are nervous. They're wanting to get a good start. But for today, it's a battle of attrition. You could start dead last and still win this race.
So when you're on the starting line like that and sitting there lined up, so you kind of lose all train of thought like that?
Oh, yeah, for sure. You get tunnel vision. Your mind really gets to a more simpler form, and you start thinking, I just got to win. I got to have the best position. I got to be ready for this start. And so it's hard to control that and be like, all right, listen, there's a bigger goal in mind. We have to make this car last. Like, be smart as opposed to be up front first. I know that surprises you about me, but yeah, I can be pretty simple-minded sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
So you need the woman staging you so she can straighten you up and keep you in the right direction.
This is why they keep you around, because you're just you're just so much smarter than these dumb racers out here. You're just so much smarter. There's a couple of guys that are coming in, and just because it's a long race and people are getting spread out, that doesn't mean there's not battles going in. There was about 3 or 4 cars that just rolled through, and they're running bumper to bumper right now.
So they had a dead battery in the Polaris R. So that's what they said. That's what happened. Is that they had a dead battery in it? So I'm not sure if that was on the start or if that was when they were broken on the track, because I know one of those Polaris Rs didn't get off the start. They had to do something with the left rear off the start. He didn't move, but then they were broken on the track as well. So I'm not quite sure what was the problem there.
Yeah, that's tough. It looks like we have another Polaris sitting down. It doesn't seem like he's moving, but Zach just pointed out to me, we are at the 3-hour mark right now. So you're fixing to start seeing a lot of guys come in. They're going to be pitting. They're going to be fueling. They're going to be changing drivers, and this is our opportunity to really look over the car and see what's going on, see if they can fix it now before their next driver spends another 3 hours in the car. What's wrong, Butler? So this, this Polaris on screen is actually not broke. I completely apologize to Alan Butler. My bad, dude. My bad. You just came through and took the checkered flags. It looks like we have our first winner of the day in the 3-hour open class, which is Mr. Alan Butler, and looks like a Polaris Razor 1000, naturally aspirated 1000 today.
So last night when we were doing poker chips, so I don't know if he drew first and then they did an auction for the top 5 spots. So you could either draw a poker chip or they did a charity auction for the top 5 spots. his was one of the bought spots.
Well, let's go and let's talk about it right now. How much did he pay for that bought spot?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't remember.
Well, we need to find that out.
I don't remember what spot
We need to know how
was.
much that was.
I can tell you that. Who is it? I need to find it now.
I'm going to be honest, though, that's exciting for Alan Butler today to come through finish line. Looks like he's already got his helmet off, his pit crew's clapping for him. They're excited because he is the first one to finish. Now, that's just the 3-hour race. So it looks like, unless there's any penalties, any setbacks, he's going to take the win in the 3-hour open class. Have we had anybody else pass through yet in that 3-hour race? It looks like he's the first one to come through. And honestly, he was moving pretty good whenever he came through in front of the trailer.
So this was what I want to say. Even though he bought a spot for the starting position, he had to hold that the whole time.
Of
like
course.
that's not easy, making his way through all that traffic and stuff as well. So Blake Gustin. So where are they? They're in the 12-hour pro. G3.
Yep.
So his team, he started in the 1 spot. His teammate Greg, and I do not know his teammate's last name, Greg.
It's okay.
So they bought the number 1 spot.
Yep.
And so his teammate actually bought a chip and then donated it back.
Yeah.
And then bought another chip.
Son of the gun.
Yeah.
These boys ain't balling on a budget around here.
And so there were several $1,000s raised last night for a charity, and I forget the name of the charity, but the charity actually raises money for racers who are injured during racing.
Got it. And so let's not skip right over that. So the cool thing about what Courtney's explaining is you can go into a random draw to race this race today, or you can opt to buy a chip, or it's an auction for some of the top positions,
Just
right?
the top 5 spots were auctioned off.
Just
for
the
that
top
charity.
5 spots. But ultimately, I know you're like, well, why can you just buy your way into the top 5 spots? Well, it's actually to raise money for a greater cause.
Correct.
You know, it's not just whoever has the most money gets spot 1. It's not that at all. The effort was to raise money for a charity. Do you know what charity it was? Called. Yeah,
like I said, I don't remember the name of it.
yeah, we should find that out. So maybe some other people could help donate towards this charity today. Alan Butler taking number 1 in the 0-1, the number 0-1. It's almost like a premonition. If he went ahead and claimed that number, dude, he had it on his mind this weekend. And he did come through. So, Courtney, on screen, you're starting to see the back of the track, right? There's a good mixture of track out here that goes from short course to woods to long straightaways, right?
Correct. So there's 2 different spots out in the track that are long stretches that you can open up. I would say into the 70s and potentially even 80 mile per hours. That you can get into. So that looks like he's maybe on that one stretch. There's some open stretch around like the 4-ish mile mark, and then again around the 7.5 or 8 mile mark. So it looks like he's maybe, that potentially is around the 8 mile mark that they're stretched out right now.
But they've also got some really tight technical wood sections, right?
Oh yeah, there's some definite G-outs that if you are going into too fast, you're going to go straight down, and your car's gonna take some beatings on the front end or back end if you're not paying attention going into those. Some tight turns. What are you smiling at?
I was just laughing about the G-out reference. I think a lot of people that maybe are not really close to racing, and you spend a lot of time racing, you just know these slang terms. Can you explain G-out to people?
Yeah, you explain it.
Okay, so a G-out is going to be a section of the track where like maybe it's a really fast section, but you have a drop-off that immediately comes back up. So basically what happens is your suspension goes full compression and full unload in the shortest amount of time possible. So what can happen is your car can donkey kick, you can end up on your nose, it can make you swap ends. So a G-out is really something to look out for that can really cut a day short for you.
That's exactly why I just had you explain that, because you know how I would have said that.
Tell me. I want to hear your explanation for G-out.
You're going really, this is going to make me sound bad, but
it's all good.
You're going really, really fast, and then all of a sudden, you just like nosedive into something, and then you need to go right back out of it. But it does, we coined it, a car killer. I coined it a car killer yesterday.
I understand why, because they will get you tail over nose real quick, and I have done that in several races. So it is crucial to pay attention, read the track, and pay attention to G-outs and spots like that, because that's really hard on shocks. I heard you mention earlier somebody already had a broken shock. It's likely either to a big jump or a G-out. Am I right?
Correct. You're right. I know you wanted me just to say that out loud.
Sometimes I just like the reinforcement from a good co-driver.
The smirk and the wink of, am I right? Just because you know I'm on air, so I have to tell you that you're right.
Yeah, but I was anyways, let's be honest.
That one time you were.
Listen, you guys go and comment on the live feed. I see my boy Trip pulling from all the way over in Alabama or Tennessee or whatever. My know that buddy, and get well. Trip pulling had a big jump not long ago that he went big air. You know what I'm saying? And so, and a little compression fracture in the spine or something like that. But my boy lives on the edge. You know, he lives about a YOLO mentality, and he's going to go big or he's going to go to the house. Well, this time he did both.
So is he better now?
He is better now, I think. They put a new back, or I don't know exactly what they did, but he's fixed. He's out and about, and he's commenting on the live feed. So anybody that wants to, take a chance, go comment, see if we can pick up and run with your comments.
So what do we have going on in front of us?
It looks like a little Yamaha and an RS1. I didn't catch the numbers, but that's a set of cars that are battling bumper to bumper, you know. And a lot of times that pushes you to run your car a little harder than what you're comfortable running.
So what would your strategy be coming into this if you were racing, if you were the second driver jumping in the car?
So first of all, when you jump in the car after a first driver, it's to shake the car down, feel it. You can you pull the steering wheel back and forth as you get on track. You know, hit a few obstacles and see what the shocks are feeling like. See if you're getting any shock fade. See what belt temperatures are like. So basically, get a good overview of the car. What has that prior driver given you? Next is your strategy to keep the pace that you're running, or make up the gap that you have. So when I'm looking at a lot of these guys come to the short course segment, I see them shaving the inside of the corners, kind of railing their car a little harder than I would, putting a lot of weight on the outside corner. Whereas in a race like this, I'm trying to lay on the berms. I'm trying to run the fluff. I'm going to try not to be so hard on wheel bearings, knuckles, ball joints. So kind of run the easy line. So like, for example, you see Hunter Miller coming right here, not taking any chances on the jumps, not railing the corners, laying on the fluff. He's a very smart driver. He knows how to take care of the car, and he knows how to get that thing to finish.
So I actually am thinking that I am going to let George come back over here so that I can head into the pits, because I think we're going to start doing some driver changes.
Yep.
So I'm going to see if I can get a camera guy to come on out there with me and go watch some of these driver changes, talk with Hunter, talk with CJ, talk with Cody, and see how the track is, see how the cars are, and how things are going for them.
Yeah, there should be a lot of guys that just got out of the car at the 3-hour march, so you should be able to catch them, get some feedback on them, how they feel like the track was. But before you go, I want you to know you did an amazing job in here, and I look forward to the next time we get to talk.
Thanks, Dustin. I'm glad you showed up.
Yeah, you're welcome. Now take your headset off and give it to George. Let's go.
I think we're going to go. Are we going to go to a little commercial? We're going to go to a break?
Okay.
Huh? Oh, we're going to go to another interview from, what are we going to see? We don't know. He doesn't know, but we're going to show you something.
We're going to be talking to racers. We're going to have somebody talking to another person with a microphone, so we're going to see what they're going to talk about.
See you guys later.
Here we are with Kyle Cheney, partnered up with Hunter Miller. You guys are currently holding around third place. What was your strategy going into this? Is it holding true still?
Yeah, we Hunter drew number 33, and we're a broke team, so we didn't buy a number like everybody else. So we decided to start 33 because I'm really fast. So I ran him the key, and he took off and was probably about 50th. Kidding.
And I may also add that you and Hunter are also probably the most sarcastic team as well.
Oh, okay.
I know them both, so I can say that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, he worked his way up now, and he's sitting in third the last lap through. Him and Cody were right together, and CJ was just right in front of him. So, you know, CJ's in an NA car, and he got a good jump from the start. But I kind of expect them to be. I kind of expect CJ to let them by